There comes a time in your life when the people you trusted, the ones you poured your soul into, flip the story. They don't just hurt you. They twist the knife and then cry out like they're the ones bleeding. You ever been there? You ever been painted as the villain in someone else's disaster? That's not an accident. That's a design. That's a tactic of the guilty. Confuse the crowd before the truth can speak. See, some people don't want peace. They want control. And when you stop playing the game, they call you cold. They call you distant. They call you cruel. But they never mention the chapters before, the ones where you stayed quiet just to keep the peace, the ones where you forgave what you should have walked away from. No, they'll never tell that part. They'll just act like the ending was your fault. You gave chances. You offered grace. You stayed when everything in you said go. But now they wear your patience like a trophy, pretending they were the ones who suffered. And you're just left with the wreckage while they gather sympathy with a script they rehearsed in front of the mirror. Listen to me, you are not crazy. You are not cruel. You are not what they say you are. You were just strong enough to finally say. And when that strength showed up, it scared them, because power shifts are loud in silence. When you stop begging, they start blaming. When you stop explaining, they start accusing, because your peace threatens their performance. The ones who hurt you and play the victim don't want healing. They want an audience. They want applause for a show built on your pain. But let me tell you something, they can only wear that mask for so long. Truth might be quiet, but it never dies, it waits. And when it speaks, it doesn't shout, it roars. So stop trying to fix a story you didn't break. Let the liars lie. Let the actors act. You don't need to defend yourself in a courtroom where the judge is blind and the jury is bought. Your integrity will outlive their narrative. Your character will outshine their performance. They might fool the crowd, but they can't fool time. They can't fool consequence. And they can't fool God. So hold your head up. Don't shrink to fit someone's guilt. Don't lower your voice to make their lies sound louder. You are not the storm. They just couldn't stand your sunlight. Keep moving. Keep rising. Don't let their version of the story hold your future hostage. You've got places to go where truth is still valued, where loyalty isn't a punchline, and where peace doesn't come with a price tag. They hurt you, and then acted like you hurt them. That's what cowards do. They flip mirrors into weapons, hoping you'll doubt your own reflection. But the mirror never lied. It just showed them what they couldn't face in themselves. So let them tell their tale. You just keep walking, keep shining. And when the time comes, and it always does, truth will stand. Alone maybe, late maybe, but it will stand. And when it does, so will you. Guilt is the weapon of the weak. When truth exposes their game, those who wrong you will rewrite the script to cast themselves as the victim. That's how they survive. Not by being honest, not by facing themselves, but by flipping the table and blaming you for the mess they made. You ever notice how fast people forget what they did to you once you finally decide you've had enough? That's not forgetfulness. That's strategic amnesia. Because accountability burns when you're built on manipulation. So instead of taking responsibility, they turn the mirror around, hoping you'll question your own reflection. They hope you'll look at your strength and call it cruelty. They hope you'll look at your silence and call it guilt. But the truth doesn't need to shout. The truth just waits. Some people aren't sorry they hurt you. They're sorry they got exposed. They're sorry their control didn't work this time. They're sorry their game got interrupted by your growth. Because guilt, when weaponized, is not about remorse. It's about preservation. It's a mask worn by the same hands that threw stones behind their back. And when you catch them, when you confront them, they don't say, "I'm sorry." They say, How could you do this to me? That's the shift. That's the manipulation. That's how they spin your strength into betrayal. But make no mistake, your decision to walk away from dysfunction is not betrayal. It's self-respect. It's clarity. And clarity always feels like betrayal to those who depended on your confusion. You gave them chances. You gave them understanding. You gave them a seat at your table when they didn't even bring bread. And when you finally asked them to bring something to the table, they accused you of being selfish. That's how it works. The ones who take the most will always call you greedy when you stop giving. Because in their world, your boundaries are offensive. Your no sounds like an attack. Your distance feels like punishment. But that's only because they were never invested in you. They were invested in what they could extract from you. Guilt becomes a tool in the hands of people who refuse to grow. Because growth requires honesty. And honesty demands accountability. That's a heavy weight for people who've lived their lives skating on lies and self-pity. So when the truth corners them, they don't face it. They run from it. And the best escape is always a story where they're the victim. Where you were too much, where you changed, where you became cold. But they never talk about the fire they set first. They never mention the things you tolerated, the pain you swallowed, the moments you kept quiet to keep the peace. All that goes missing in their version of the story. You see, people don't just rewrite the script to protect themselves. They rewrite it to recruit others. That's the part that stings. Watching bystanders pick sides without knowing the real scenes that happened in the dark. Because those who cry the loudest often get the sympathy, and those who heal in silence are labeled the problem. But don't let that shake you. Don't let that twist your truth. The truth doesn't need an audience. It just needs time. And time always tells. You'll start to notice a pattern with people who use guilt as a weapon. They don't just lie to others. They lie to themselves. They believe their own stories. They wear their wounds like crowns, as if being hurt means they couldn't have hurt someone else. But pain isn't proof of innocence. Sometimes it's just karma returning the message. And even then, they still won't see it. They'll still believe they were the ones betrayed. That's the danger of ego. It will burn down a bridge and blame you for the ashes. But don't fall for the trap. Don't play the game. Don't engage in battles where the truth is irrelevant and perception is currency. Let them talk. Let them point. Let them pretend. Because at the end of the day, peace is louder than performance. And when you're at peace, guilt can't touch you. Lies can't reach you. And the noise doesn't shake you. You never needed to be the loudest in the room. You just needed to be the realist. And the realist ones don't chase approval. They stand in truth. So let them rewrite the script. Just make sure you don't rewrite your worth trying to fit into someone else's delusion. You didn't hurt them. You just stopped allowing them to hurt you. And that's what they'll never forgive. Silence is not an admission of guilt. It's the strength to walk away when lies get louder than facts. In a world that thrives on noise, drama, and distortion, silence is misunderstood. People think if you're not defending yourself, you must be hiding something. If you're not explaining yourself, you must be guilty. But that's not truth. That's noise masquerading as logic. Silence doesn't always mean surrender. Sometimes it's wisdom. Sometimes it's restraint. Sometimes it's the highest form of self-respect. When lies start to multiply and truth is buried under opinions, assumptions, and twisted narratives, you start to realize something. They don't want clarity. They want chaos. They don't want resolution. They want reaction. And when you don't give them that reaction, when you don't take the bait, they get louder, more dramatic, more relentless. But silence confuses them. Because silence removes the oxygen from their fire. And without your response, Their performance starts to collapse. It takes strength to be silent when every part of you wants to defend yourself. It takes courage to say nothing when you're being lied about, judged unfairly, misunderstood, or attacked. But that's where maturity comes in. That's where you grow. Because not everything deserves your energy. Not every accusation deserves your voice. Some people want a reaction just to justify the story they've already told about you. And when you stay silent, you deny them that fuel. You break the cycle. They'll say, if you were really innocent, you'd speak up. But that's not how truth works. Truth doesn't need to compete with lies. It doesn't rush. It doesn't panic. It doesn't shout over noise. Truth stands. And sometimes the strongest way to let the truth speak is to stop arguing with those committed to misunderstanding you. When people decide you're the villain in their story, nothing you say will change that. They're not looking for truth. They're looking for justification. Justification for their actions, their distance, their betrayal. And your silence threatens their justification, so they label it guilt. But deep down, they know what they did. You'll find that people get uncomfortable with silence because it forces them to sit with themselves. Without your voice to deflect, without your words to distract, they're left with their own conscience. And that's louder than anything you could have said. That silence echoes, it exposes, it reveals. And if they were really right, they wouldn't need to campaign so hard to convince everyone else. That's the irony. Truth doesn't market itself. Lies do. And when you've walked through betrayal, manipulation, or false accusations, you learn quickly that your peace is too expensive to be spent on people who've already decided who you are without asking. You stop showing up to explain yourself in rooms where your presence was never truly welcome. You stop proving your worth to those who were committed to doubting it from the start. And in that silence, you reclaim your power. Because silence doesn't mean weakness. It means you finally realize that being heard by the wrong people is just noise. But being true to yourself in stillness, that's peace. You don't need to write paragraphs defending yourself when someone is determined to misunderstand your sentence. You don't need to fight back when the whole fight was designed to trap you. Sometimes walking away is the loudest thing you'll ever do. Sometimes silence roars louder than screams. It says, I know who I am. I don't need to prove it to you. It says, I choose peace over performance. It says, I don't owe you access to my spirit just because you're loud with your assumptions. There will be people who twist your silence into stories. Let them. Let them paint you however they need to sleep at night. Let them twist your calm into coldness, your boundaries into bitterness. That's not your burden to carry. You were never responsible for their perception, only for your integrity. And if staying silent means keeping that integrity intact, then you've already won. Because peace is not in being understood by everyone. It's in understanding yourself when the world gets noisy. The truth is, silence is the home of those who have nothing to prove and everything to protect. When lies surround you and facts are drowned out by feelings, it's not cowardice to walk away, it's wisdom. And wisdom doesn't perform, it doesn't shout, it doesn't throw stones. It just walks, quietly, strongly, and without apology.